So I was raised by parents who are very kind, caring, concerned people, sometimes overly concerned. And of course, what this meant was that as soon as I hit my adolescence, I had to start lying profusely about where I was. My parents would not have been okay with my going to unchaperoned parties, my staying out until the wee hours of the morning, doing drugs and alcohol, etc. Luckily, this was in the pre-cell phone era, so it was pretty easy to hide in the world. I wound up spending a lot of nights over at friends' houses who, their parents didn't care where they were. And I was also blessed with the pre-call waiting era where there were still busy signals on phones, and so I could give my parents fake phone numbers that always rang busy. Very, very handy. You guys are sad that you missed it if you did. So I knew, however, that I was not going to be able to get away with sneaking around and lying about Beach Week. Beach Week being the first week of summer, right after school ends. Yay! This was in the DC area, and everybody goes to Delaware or Ocean City. And my friends were all going, so I had to go, even though I hadn't just graduated. And I knew that I was going to have to convince my parents. So I started in early with things like, my friends are going to be leaving in the fall, and this is my last real chance to bond with them. And my dad was like, what are you talking about? You're going to have every day this summer after Beach Week to see your friends. And then I went to, come on, my friends and I, we're not really interested in drugs and alcohol. We just want to hang on the beach. And my mom was like, well, it's not you we don't trust. It's the rest of the world, right? So I realized I was going to have to actually do some pleading. And I went with the, come on, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. We're going to be fine. So finally, they relented. I could not believe it. I was like, suckers. You just let me go away for a week with my friends unchaperoned. And we headed off to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. We had rented a house, so all my girlfriends and I were in one house. All our guy friends were in a house down the street. And for the first couple of days, it was just bliss, teenage bliss, playing ultimate frisbee on the beach and acting crazy on the boardwalk. And I got my ears pierced and swimming in the ocean and drinking vodka on the porch and drinking margaritas on the porch and all kinds of things. And then it was about the third day and sort of midweek when we were hanging out at the guy's house, and some dude shows up, who I don't know, and he's like, hey, you guys, there's a rager going on in Dewey tonight. Let's all go. And Dewey Beach, for those of you who are not familiar, is the town right next to Rehoboth that is even crazier than Rehoboth. So, just off-the-chain parties. And I was not, I was like, I'm fine with hanging in Rehoboth, honestly. Like, I'm fine here on the porch. But all my friends wanted to go, hence I rallied. I put on my favorite sundress. It was one of those, really soft cotton dresses that has, batik-y kind of print, total hippie chick dress. And I was ready, to go to Dewey. So we head over with this random dude, and we wind up at this apartment, which is not the raging party. It is some pre-party, and some really dinky small apartment, totally run down, people doing all kinds of things in this apartment. Guys who are obviously not teenagers. I'm sitting there wondering, why are these 20-something guys hanging out with high school girls? And I'm sort of just whatever, and I'm sitting around, and finally, after hours of being there, and I'm, coming down from whatever I've been smoking, it's midnight or 12:30 or something, and I'm like, come on, you guys, let's go. It's time to go. And we have, we're obviously not going to that other rager, so it's time to go home. So we head out, and we realize we have to walk home because the guy who drove us there is in no shape to drive. And we start out on there's this 2-lane highway that connects the towns, and we're walking along, and I'm dying of exhaustion, flip-flops are chafing, and totally, splitting headache and all this, and I'm just thinking get me to my bed. And then about 2/3 of the way back, we see headlights coming towards us on the road, and this car is approaching pretty quickly, and as it passes us, we see it's like one of those big old station wagons like in Vacation, the movie. And just after it passes us, I hear this popping sound. And then I feel this pain in my side, like a sting. And I look down, and I see red all over my dress. And the world kind of stops. And I'm like, what is this on my dress? And, I'm like touching it, and it's sticky and oozing and it's ruining my dress. And then all of a sudden, like, it's like play has been hit again, and like everything catches up really quickly. And I remember there was a big noise, and then there was a pain, and then now there's red. And so I've been shot. 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 And it's like this refrain in my head, and it's just going and going. And I don't know whether I'm saying it out loud or not, but I start envisioning like me lying on the side of the road with my friends surrounding me, and like, I'm gonna die in Delaware. I don't want to die in Delaware. And then my dad would have to come to Delaware, and then he'd know what I was doing this whole time. Meanwhile, I hear my friends, and they're also repeating some kind of refrain, and it's like the Peanuts adults, in the Peanuts cartoons, and wah, wah, wah. But then it starts to sink in, and they're saying, it's paint. It's paint. You were shot with a paint gun. You're okay. It's paint. And I'm not really taking it in quite. I'm sort of still in shock. But somehow my friends convince me to keep walking. We get back to the house where the guys are staying, where we were hanging out. And I go into the bathroom, and I look in the mirror, and I just see myself like spattered in red. And that's when it hits me. How much worse this could have been. How random is life. And damn it, how my parents were fucking right to worry. Fuck. So the rest of the week, we're there. It's kind of a blur. I've been like inconsolable ever since it happened. My friends are trying to make jokes and laugh and hug me, but I just want soothing. I just want an adult, and I want to be able to call my parents, and of course I can't. And I get back to DC finally after a few days, and I walk in the door, and my parents are like, how was Beach Week? And I had to lie and be like, it was great. And I basically, I realized that my parents, maybe they'd been right, but life is random and it's fragile, and therefore you should take advantage while you're alive, and instead of becoming a shrinking violet, I'm gonna go out and get my life splattered with color. So I just kept sneaking around and doing wild shit.